Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of She's the Fan. As you can see, Abby is out today, so it'll just be me. She is out of town for her real job, but we do still have a very exciting episode put together for you. We're going to run through some quick headlines, recapping the Australian Open, some updates on the WNBA CBA negotiations, and of course, we have to talk about Kim Kardashian and Lewis Hamilton's dating rumors. Also have our Super Bowl picks and a few fun storylines to know heading into the big game. And because Abby is out this week, we do have a surprise guest joining us for our Olympic coverage. If you've been listening to earlier episodes, you might already have a guess who this could be, but I'm going to save the reveal for later. Before we jump into our episode, please do us a huge favor and follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. It does help us in so many ways as we continue to grow this platform. And of course, if you want more sports content, follow us on social media at Your Sports BFF on both Instagram and TikTok. Okay. I do have a hot take, and I am very sad that Abby's not here for this because I feel like she would have a huge opinion on this. Next year's Super Bowl is going to be on Valentine's Day. And I can already picture the arguments that couples are going to get into. So I think that the NFL has a massive opportunity. And what better way to get the girls and the gays and the theys who don't watch sports as excited to spend their Valentine's Day watching a sports ball game than to have none other than the Taylor Swift headline the Super Bowl. I mean, this is truly a massive opportunity for the league to do something that I feel like everybody has been waiting to happen for years, to have Taylor Swift headline the Super Bowl. And I mean, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan myself, but I think she, one, has done so much for the game. Two, she's an incredible artist and performer, and I would love to see what she puts on for the Super Bowl, let alone having it be like the day that celebrates love in the US. I think it would be so perfectly scripted. So NFL, do your thing, sign her up. I think you have to. Okay, headlines for today. We are going to breeze through these quickly. Starting with the Australian Open, Elena Rybakina beat Aryna Sabalenka, lots of difficult names for me to say, in the final to win her second career Grand Slam. She was down 0-3 in the final set, and it ended up winning 5 straight. And then ended the game on an ace, which is awesome. She was so cool and calm and collected at the end of it. I think we're so used to some of these major names like Sabalenka herself that are so emotional and loud and outspoken when they win a match. And she just kind of brushed it off like it was nothing and another day at the office. So good for her. The big story, though, is Carlos Alcaraz. You've probably seen this. He beat Novak Djokovic in the final. He became the youngest male player to complete the career Grand Slam, which is winning all 4 of the Grand Slams, the Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, and US Open. Big feat, especially because up until this tournament, he really struggled at the Australian Open and hadn't made it past the quarterfinals. So big start to the tennis season, incredible matches. The semifinals were amazing. The finals were amazing. Like truly everything you can ask for. WNBA CBA negotiations are still continuing. The league and the Players Association met on Monday to discuss next steps in person and really didn't have a whole lot of progress. So the Players Association was the last to kind of submit a proposal and has been waiting for the WNBA, the league's response. Everyone kind of thought they would have that in this meeting. However, the league did not bring anything. They now know that the ball's in their court, and we do expect a response for them hopefully sooner than later. But it was really just a good discussion on kind of where everyone's feeling, more face-to-face in person, so you can actually make eye contact, understand things, resolve questions, etc. The main kind of disagreement point remains on revenue share. So you have the players who want revenue share to come from gross margin, and you have the league that's pushing for revenue share coming on net revenue, so after expenses have been taken out. The NBA does theirs on gross revenue. So really the women are just asking for a similar setup to the men's. We expect to have a resolution. You know, when we hear reports from players, it sounds like things are still moving and they're still very hopeful that they'll come to an agreement ahead of the season. NBA trade deadline is Thursday the 5th at 3 p.m. We're watching closely for some big trades to happen, most notably Giannis Antetokounmpo on the Bucks. They are entertaining multiple offers from the Knicks, the Heat, the Warriors, and a few other teams. If this does not happen by 3 p.m. tomorrow, it's Wednesday for me, I do expect this to come through in the offseason, but only time will tell. Keeping a close eye. If you want to stay up to date on all of this, sign up for our BFF brief. I'll add the link in our show notes. It's essentially our daily morning text message we send out on all things sports news and culture. It's one short text that really gives you everything you need to know heading into your day. Definitely will add any of the major trades happening. The one trade that I think you should know about that is signed, sealed, and delivered is Harden to Cleveland. So the Clippers traded 11-time All-Star James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for Darius Garland and a second-round pick. So essentially, LA is getting a younger piece in Garland that they can build around long term, who also has the ability to come in and make a difference now. And Cleveland is getting some veteran firepower in Harden, who's still playing at a very high level and hopefully will bring some experience and veteran leadership to a really young team who's making quite a run in the East. They were one of the best teams last year who ended up losing through the playoffs, and they're going to make a push this year as well. So I think this is a really good deal on both sides. Harden himself did have a veto clause in his contract, which essentially means he could have just said, nope, I don't want to go there, and done, no option. But it seemed like he liked this move. He's excited. He's never had an NBA championship, so he's still playing and wants to win. So I think he's excited about the potential for a championship run with Cleveland. There have been rumors that are swirling around that Kim Kardashian and Lewis Hamilton may be dating after being spotted together on a romantic getaway in the UK. They were at this bougie fancy hotel in the Cotswolds that just sounded so dreamy. They had couple massages, they had full use of the facilities for just the two of them. It was all very quiet. They had kind of their own space. They had private rooms for dinner. Sounds like they spent a lot of time in their hotel room. And then rumors really took off because they were seen catching a private flight together from said UK trip to Paris, which, as you know, is known as the City of Love. These two go back quite a while. They've known each other since I think 2015 and 2016. They were known to be at the same New Year's party for 2026. So kind of have a feeling maybe this is where this romantic spark happened. But many sources that are close to the two of them have said that it's really just a friends with benefits. It's fun. It's casual. Both have so much going on in their lives. Kim K raising her kids. Hamilton has the upcoming F1 circuit to get to. So I don't foresee a full-on dating relationship, which is good because I'm a big F1 fan these days. Ferrari is my team, and we definitely don't need the Kardashian curse on our side. We had a rough season last season, a lot of big changes to the cars and how the F1 circuit will run this year. I would love to see Lewis Hamilton do well in Ferrari red and So yeah, no more curses, please. All right, Super Bowl time. So Super Bowl 60 is this weekend, and the Super Bowl has become one of the biggest TV broadcast moments every single year. I swear they break their own record for the most watched show every single time, every single year. But it wasn't always like this. So I want to break down how we actually got here. The Super Bowl essentially had three major glow up eras. First, you had the birth of it during the merger wars when the NFL and the AFL combined forces. Then you had the TV and halftime explosion during the 80s and 90s. And then I would say early 2000s is when it really started to become this full-blown pop culture holiday with massive star talent, virality around all of the events. It's a week-long event these days, and really just bringing us into kind of where we're at today. So all the way back in 1967, the NFL and the AFL were merging into one, and they needed a joint championship game. It was the old NFL versus the new guy, the AFL. And truly this was born out of beef. It was who's better than who vibe. In January 1967, the Super Bowl one, which was just called the AFL NFL World Championship game back then, was Packers versus Chiefs at the LA Coliseum. And let me tell you, it was not a sellout. Tickets were $12, and there were many, many empty seats, which is just crazy to think about now because of the difficulty and cost to go to this game these days. It was dubbed Super Bowl supposedly because of a kids game called Super Ball. It sounded catchy. Somehow it stuck. The league didn't really like it. They thought it was gimmicky, but here we are 60 years later. From day one, though, the game did have big energy. It was billed as this showdown between the two leagues, and the media treated it as this big national event, even back in the late 60s. But the real credibility in the game came during Super Bowl III when Joe Namath's Jets upset the Colts after he guaranteed a win. The Jets were in the AFL, and it proved that this new league was really legit and made the Super Bowl start to feel like a must-watch end of the season event. It was in 1970 that the game officially became the NFL championship versus just a bonus bowl game anymore. This was actually the end of the season title. Throughout the 70s, brands started to realize that this is something that everyone is tuning into. And so ad rates and sponsorships started to increase, which brings us to the next big shift, the 80s, 90s. This is when the TV and halftime era really started to hit. In the 1980s, it had become this de facto American holiday, right? You had the office pools, you had parties, wall-to-wall media weeks, huge TV audiences every year. The network coverage started to get a lot more fancy. They had the long pregame shows, there were features, celebrity anthems. It stopped being more just a telecast about the game, and it was really this huge broadcast event. Now, back in the day, the early Super Bowls had marching bands and variety show acts as their halftime talent. But in the early 90s, along with this kind of increase in coverage and broadcast events, they decided to lean into mainstream pop stars to hold audiences during the halftime and turn halftime into its own spectacle in itself. With that kind of boom, the viewership increased, people were sticking around and watching, and the ad culture started to explode. Brands started to treat it like a campaign moment. They had teasers, there was talk around what was everyone's favorite ad. The Super Bowl commercial became a thing in the 90s. Heading into the 2000s, we have now tens of million people watching mainly for the commercials or halftime, not the game itself. Polls often show that huge chunks of viewers could care less about who wins. It has become one of the biggest shared experiences in American life. It's like on the same tier as some of like the major elections or national events in terms of how many people are actually participating. The NFL has gone from just increasing the day's broadcast to an entire week built around the Super Bowl. There's opening night, there's Pro Bowl, there's fan festivals, there's concert series, there's conventions and corporate summits around it. And then this year we also have not one, but 2 fashion shows. Internationally, the league also has been pushing for watch parties, international broadcast. And so now it's become this massive global event, not just an American one. It's truly one of the like most epic things on TV every year. And it has something for everyone, whether you're there for the ads, the halftime show, the game itself, or even just like there because you want to be around friends and family eating good food. Like the Super Bowl never seems to disappoint. It's always a good time. It's always fun to watch and is really like a symbol of American sports. But if you're like me, and you don't have anyone to root for this year because maybe you're not a fan of either team or who knows why. Maybe you don't even have an NFL team. I figured I would give you a couple fun stories from each side to give you maybe a couple of reasons to root for these teams. So let's start with the Patriots. First off, Drake May's amazing. We love him. QB1. He's got an incredible underdog story. But the real star is Ann Michael May, Drake's wife. She has quickly become the wag next door that NFL fans are absolutely falling in love with. She's built a massive social following of her own from posting her cozy like home and baking content. Think jalapeno cheddar sourdough and cookie bars. She did the Bake Miss dessert drops during the holidays. And she does it in a way that feels so natural and so normal. No frills. She wears light makeup. She shows up in sweats. She messes up recipes and laughs about it and isn't really in this like full influencer production. She just feels real. She's really sweet. She's really polite. Their dynamic is also really fun and cute. They have little traditions, inside jokes, and it just kind of feels like they're like us, but in this kind of wild NFL fantasy. So if you're into the cooking, if you're into the baking, if you're into the sweet girl next door wag, Patriots are your team. The other important story to know about the Patriots is Coach Mike Vrabel. He has a long-running habit of giving the first question at his press conferences to a woman reporter. Now, this goes all the way back to his days coaching for the Tennessee Titans and has since carried it on into his time with New England. He says that his reasoning is that he knows that sports media is a tough space for women, and he sees this as a small gesture and a way to show respect and just make it a little bit easier to break it. The female reporters have said that it makes them feel so seen and respected, and it subtly signals to the room that they belong, which is incredible. If you layer this on to his like tough guy linebacker persona, it creates a very fangirl friendly storyline. Like this big intimidating coach, big shoulders, big muscles, who just quietly makes space for women. Top tier. If that is your vibe, Patriots are your team. On the other end, even though Seattle is not the underdog, they have 2 players who are really giving redemption stories. First up, you have Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was the Rams' longtime wide receiver. After the 2024 season, the Rams decided not to extend his contract and rework it. They even reportedly nudged him towards retirement. This is the former Super Bowl MVP and Triple Crown receiver. So optics were very like, thank you for everything. You're too expensive and too banged up. So then Seattle swoops in, betting that he's got some left in him and his football IQ could really help them in their 2025 season. And it paid off. Kupp had a very solid season and even finished it off with a touchdown against the Rams in the divisional championship game. Truly a like thought I was washed up, actually I'm still him moment. The second redemption story is Sam Darnold. So Sam came into the league with the Jets as the golden boy. He was a top 3 pick. USC star. He was supposedly going to be the franchise savior for the Jets. But as we know, he walked in and landed into chaos. There were flashes of talent at the Jets. There's a lot of turnover with coordinators, roster churn, and it really became this like, is he bad or is the situation bad? Question mark. He's been shuffled around the league with many new teams, many new systems, and always has kind of been this bridge guy or like insurance policy instead of really a unquestioned QB1. Seattle picked him up from Minnesota heading into the 2025 season, and he has had a standout year with them. He also has a crazy family backstory and comes from quite some lineage. His grandfather is not only a Division I basketball player, I believe also at USC, but he competed in the Olympics in volleyball and is also the original Marble Man. Like truly an iconic grandfather with some big shoes to fill, but adds to this Sam Darnold lore of who he is and potentially what he could do. So if you love a redemption story, the misjudged rewriting their own script, then Seattle is your team. Of course, we have one more, Bad Bunny, the 6-time Grammy winner, absolute global superstar, and one of the most influential artists of this generation. He's who I'm rooting for personally, but if you have somehow missed the hype about him, let's break it down. His real name is Benito Antonio Martinez Acacio. He grew up in Vega Baja, Puerto Rico, with like a seemingly normal upbringing. His parents were both teachers, and he was working stocking shelves at grocery store Supermax while simultaneously dropping his like raw iPhone freestyles from his bedroom at night. 2016 rolls around and he drops Dials on SoundCloud and it blows up. It's super catchy. Suddenly everyone wants to work with him. Collabs are rolling in. His mixtapes are taking off. 2018, Cardi B features him on I Like It. And this really helped introduce him to the wider US market and really like open the doors to the masses. His second album came out 2 years later in 2020, and this is what truly changed the game. It made him the most streamed Latino artist ever on Spotify and cemented him as a like complete global superstar. But why we love him is because he uses his platform in such a real fun way. After Hurricane Maria, he donated millions. He's spoken out against government failures. He's protested inequality, and he constantly stands up for Puerto Rico, so much so that his last residency was hosted in Puerto Rico. And the first, I believe, 10 or 12 shows were solely only available to Puerto Rican residents. Another thing we love about him is that he actively pushes back on machismo culture, which basically is the idea that men have to be overly tough and dominant and emotionless. He challenges this by supporting women's rights, LGBT plus communities, and often shows us a much softer, more expressive version of masculinity, especially on the fashion side. He's known for breaking gender norms, wearing traditionally feminine silhouettes. He's worn skirts, he's painted his nails. And yes, there are prop bets on whether he'll wear a skirt during the halftime show. He feels like your like cousin that made it big without selling out. He stayed so true to himself, so true to his culture. He hasn't switched lyrics to English for clout. And along the way, he is just stacking Grammys. Most recently, the 2026 Grammys last weekend, he won Record of the Year, which is the first Record of the Year won by a Spanish-speaking artist. And now he's going to be on one of the biggest stages of the world. I personally saw him live at Coachella, and I cannot wait to see the show that he puts on Sunday. He is so fun to watch. He's got such great energy, and I think he is going to make the world fall in love with him even more. So really, the only right answer of who to root for is Benito. Alrighty. And lastly, we have our picks for the Super Bowl, and not just who's going to win, but some other fun picks that I always do with some of my friends. I did have Abby phone these in. So first up, we have who's going to win the game. Abby's going Seahawks, and I am going Patriots. First to score, we are both going Seahawks. I even would go as far as maybe a defensive score from Seattle. Gatorade color is my absolute favorite bet to place for Super Bowl. I am going yellow and Abby is going orange. We've seen orange in the past, we've seen purple. I think even last year was water. So it truly could be anything. National anthem. Will it be over or under 2 minutes? Abby's going under 2 minutes. I am also going under 2 minutes. We have Charlie Puth singing, and I think he's dialed. I think he's got it together. He's going to be efficient. No dilly daddling. I think it's definitely going to be under 2 minutes. Coin toss, heads or tails. Abby went tails, so I might as well go heads. No really rhyme or reason to that one. And then Bad Buddy's first song. I'm going EO. I think that intro is perfect for like a lights out, get everyone going. But Abby is going Titi May Pruento, which I also think is a very viable option. So it's time for Olympic coverage. And if you've been listening for a while, you might remember Abby and I joking about bringing my dad on as our Olympic correspondent. Well, we decided to keep our word. Ladies and gentlemen, our sports BFF correspondent, my dad, Bob. Hi, Dad.
Nice to be here. I'm not Abby, and it's a joke.
No,
I am.
definitely not Abby. It took us, this is our third or fourth try trying to get technology to work, but we're here. I'm excited to talk Olympics. We talk about it all the time via text, but figured we could jump into some like Olympic history, things you're excited for this year, any predictions, and then I have some fun rapid fire questions that will get you to answer. So
Okay.
let's start with favorite Olympic moments. What are some of your favorite like historic Olympic moments? There's so many, but yeah, what
I
comes to
like the
mind?
Winter Olympics better, which are coming up, and I have two favorites: the Miracle on Ice, which is everybody's favorite, and um, I just happened to be somewhere where that game was on, and nobody thought anything was going to happen because Russia previously had beat the United States 10-3 in a warm-up game, and it was quite the game. There's a lot of facts and details about the game that we won't get into, but the United States ended up winning. One of the facts was it wasn't the gold medal match. It was the game to get into the gold medals against Sweden. People probably think that they beat Russia and they got the medal, but that's not how it was. So they had to win another game, and they did, and that was pretty fun to be able to just walk by and happen to have a game on and sit down and watch it.
Do you remember where you were?
In 1980, I was in Colorado when we were watching at Copper Mountain. We were watching the games. I think I can't remember the name of the bar, but I was visiting friends there for some reason, and there was just the gathering got bigger and bigger as the game went. It's kind of fun.
I can imagine. There's a new Netflix documentary I've been telling everyone to watch. I think because I feel like people have heard of this story, but I think it's older now. And so, 1980 was a while back. There's a lot of younger gals that I think don't really know the background. And with the NHL allowing athletes to compete this year, it's the first time since 2012, I think, that they've been back in. And I think it's
That's
like, I feel
correct.
like this story, I feel like all these guys know it so well, and it makes playing in the Olympics so important to them. I always say it's like your favorite hockey player's favorite hockey movie, or favorite hockey story for that matter. So it's a good
Well, the
one.
United States has always been behind on athletes getting paid, so they've really had truly amateurs until, of course, the last 10 or 15 years. Whereas the other countries like Russia would pay the athletes for medals and whatever. So it was kind of a disadvantage in that aspect. But with that said, they still were amateurs.
It's a cool story. You got to watch the new Netflix doc. I think you'll like it.
Do you ever remember hearing the name Jean-Claude Keely, a skier from
No.
France? He was, I think he was in the 1968 Olympics. And
Okay.
your thousands of followers are going to have to look this up. But I think he won every downhill race that he entered that year. And the Olympics were in France. Jean-Claude Keely was from France, and he won the gold medal in the slalom, giant slalom, and downhill. I don't think that's ever happened. That was a sweep. They didn't have the giant slalom then. That's come about, later. So they now have four disciplines that they race in. But I think he's the only one probably will ever win all disciplines in the Olympics and one gold medal in his home country. It's kind of exciting.
That's crazy. And to do it at home is fun. I can't imagine. I mean, now athletes kind of specialize. You either do like slalom or like the speed events, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They might do a slalom and giant slalom, or they might do a downhill and super G, but they usually don't go slalom and downhill.
I think Michaela does sometimes, but they're not. It's not necessarily her like strength. Could be
Yep.
wrong.
They do have an event where you do a downhill and then race a slalom, and it's called the
The
combined.
combined.
Yeah.
I do know that. That's cool. I didn't know that. I'm sure there's. I mean, back then it was such a different. Sports in general were so different than what they've become
Yeah.
today. So
That was
I
in
I would be
Grenoble,
shocked.
France, I think is how you say it. And he won. And then, of course, he was a hero in his own country for the rest. He's still living, and he's was a great representative of his country forever.
That's cool.
Jean
Did
Claude
you
Keely.
watch?
The
You were.
Olympics, yeah,
What
that
year
was
did you say?
68. I was at home. I was, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. And that was on one of the channels every night. And it was kind of exciting to watch.
Fun. Any other moments?
Those are the two of my favorite.
Okay.
How about you?
The Miracle on Ice story is really cool. I think some of my favorite moments is like the stories from kids from Whitefish. Like I always love watching Maggie Voisin in like Slopestyle and Big Air. Like I think that's always been really cool seeing like some of the kids that grew up like I was never friends with necessarily, but like grew up around me, like represent our little small hometown.
Uh huh.
So I think those stand up
It
and
was
like
fun
seeing
to
those
watch
stories.
Maggie. She did really
Yeah.
well. I mean,
Maybe,
just getting to
maybe I
the
can get her
Olympics.
on the podcast. Yeah, it's cool to see kids like that, and like there's so many Montana kids. I feel like in general. So yeah, like I love those stories. I feel like I have a little bit of like a tie and just want to root for them.
Well, Jake
Um,
Sanderson's on the men's team again this year, isn't he? He's from
yeah, he
Whitefish.
is. Yep. I remember getting a hat signed by his dad. It was like a Whitefish golf course hat, and I thought it was so cool. But James and I last year during the Four Nations, we for context, my brother and I are in a fantasy hockey group, and the group chat during the Four Nations was everyone was chit-chatting, and all of a sudden Jake Sanderson scores and they start talking about Whitefish, Montana. And James and I are like, what? We didn't know that he had it. Jeff had a kid. And so that was a really cool thing. But yeah, I'm excited that I was hopeful that he would make the team. He's doing really great. It's awesome. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they're going to do good, I think.
I think so too. I'm hoping for a Canada USA in both women's and men's hockey gold medal match, which I think is very possible, but you never know. Olympics, I feel like anything can really happen in the Olympics.
There's a lot of things that go into what happens in the Olympics and how you eat, where you go, where you sleep, who you meet, and there's so many factions that are out of people's control that it makes it unpredictable, I think.
What are you looking forward to this year? What are you most excited about for the 2026 Winter
Oh, I'm
Olympics?
excited that it's in Italy. Our
Yeah.
cousins live a few hours from there. I think the Italian opening ceremonies will see some Italian flair and Italian fashions that you don't see other places because the Italians, they like to flaunt that stuff. Throughout the Olympics, too, I think at the medal ceremonies and closing ceremonies, we'll see some Italian um, stuff going on that you don't see at the other Olympics. That's one thing I'm excited about.
Yeah. Is
What are your
Pietro
thoughts on that?
I'm excited for, I mean, the Olympic ceremony is always fun. I didn't used to care as much about the opening ceremonies. I think nowadays you get such behind the scenes content from the athletes. Like they're filming every minute of it themselves. And so, like the Paris Summer Olympics, you had so much fun behind the scenes content from like the basketball team and like Coco Gauff and like some of these like star athletes, and it's like this merging of all of these people that you know follow in all these different disciplines in the same room almost. So I think that's my favorite part about the opening ceremonies these days is like the like athletes that you would never think would be like together are all of a sudden now collaborating and taking photos, and you get all these like crazy crossovers and just really
Definitely a
crazy
different
like fun.
atmosphere, very different atmosphere than a regular sporting venue or scene because so much is going on. And I don't think the Italians are going to be scared to try some new stuff and do some wild things. So it'll be fun to watch opening and closing and medal ceremonies during the games.
And I know because the events are so spread out, they're doing opening ceremonies spread out as well. Like it's happening in all these different places kind of simultaneously. So yeah, it'll be cool.
Oh,
What about sports? Oh,
new
go.
events.
Yeah, what
I'm always excited about new events because the Olympics is where you can watch sports you don't see very often. You know, you can see football, basketball, baseball, but you don't see the double women's luge. You don't see stuff, the cross country skiing, the biathlon, the curling, the sports, they'll be on the forefront and they'll be on TV. And these days you can see what time they're on and watch stuff live. So that's kind of exciting. The new sports, I think there's the dual moguls where they race side by side
Mhm.
down the bumps. Ski mountaineering, which a
Yeah.
friend of mine in Jackson's daughter is on the team, um, Annie Gibson. And then there's going to be,
She she's like a favorite, right?
I don't know, she's never done it. So this guy Cam that's been doing it forever and has been on the world circuit kind of met her somewhere, I guess, whatever, and she did a tryout and blew everybody away. Then they went to a competition in Utah to see if they qualified. I think they won the whole thing. And then the next thing you know, she's on the Olympic team, and she's never really done it much organized wise, but it's simply climbing up on your cross country skis, taking your skins off, and skiing down as fast as you
Yeah.
can. And if she's anything like her dad, nobody will be in front of her.
I see her name when people talk about ski mountaineering because it's like one of the newest events um out there. Yeah, I see her name pop up. I think she's on the US team specifically. She's like the one to watch. I don't know about other countries in competition, but I would imagine she's up there. Yeah, I'm excited. That's a cool one.
And there's the women are going to there's more women's sports this year too, more parity. In fact, I think it's the most parity in all the sports of the however 120 events there are, half are women or more. Then one of the new things is the women are going on the ski jumping, which is really cool. They're going to 120 meters as well. So now instead of just doing 90 meters and the men doing both, the women are doing both. So it'll be fun to see how far the women can jump. They jump over a whole football field almost. Jesus. It's going to be
It's
pretty fun.
insane. I don't think I could. I don't think that's a sport I would be able to compete in. I know they have um I know they have the jumps that you can do, but you're on like a bungee cord, so you don't actually have to land, but you ski down, go off the jump, and then it catches you. I don't think I would be able to. I don't know if I would even be able to do that. It's
I've
crazy.
never tried the 120. I had very many friends that were on the into jumping and would like the jumping hills. We'd go watch them, and it was exciting. And they are really going fast, and they're jumping a long ways. It's pretty impressive.
Have
Fortunately,
you
you rarely see
have you
wipeouts.
Yeah, they're pretty talented. Have you heard of the drama in the ski jumping
With the
community
speed
this year?
suits, the speed suits,
Yes, crotch
yeah,
goat. Yeah.
yeah. That'll be interesting to see. There's
Um,
always the shenanigans going on in the high level sports, whether it's with diet or drugs or suits or rest or people calling up at night to wake up athletes. And so we'll see what kind of stories we run into during these Olympics. But
I
the speed suit, yeah, it's
I was
the
impressed.
speed
I was
jumpers
reading about
that I knew when you jump off, when you do the takeoff and you get your body into a shape that's like an airplane wing, so you can get lift to extend your jump. And when you're jumping really well, they used to say that you have to be careful to come out of your position soon enough or you'll out jump the hill and land in the flats. So that was some of the
wow.
scariest stories they would hear because you wanted to land on the downhill part. And then the
Yeah,
guys that are running the jump will move the start back or move it up according a little bit so they don't have that problem because it can be dangerous. But that'll be
yeah, it
fun to
makes
watch.
sense. I was surprised when I was reading. So for those listening, there's a scandal going around with it's called people are dubbing crotchgate, where the suits that these guys are wearing, they're adding additional fabric between the legs to essentially like have more um like fabric for the air to grab on and keep them lifted. I was impressed by how much like a centimeter of fabric will give a jumper in distance. Like it was like many feet of extra distance per centimeter. So they're trying to crack down on all that. They do like body scans, and then they do a scan, they do all these measurements both before and then after the jump as well. So it's pretty, I mean, a tiny change, like all these little minute changes can really impact the jump. So yeah.
We'll see what
What
happens.
else are you excited about?
I'm excited about what people like to call as upsets. I call them unexpected wins because I think all the athletes are at a high level, and somebody has a good day and somebody doesn't have such a good day. Then you have the unexpected wins that come from behinds, and those are always exciting. You know, when the David Goliath thing, reverting back to the Miracle on Ice, that was kind of far fetched. That's why it's so popular. But there's always a
Yeah.
lot of those in the Olympics. You know, the speed skating, you know, hundreds of seconds and the teams. And so we'll see how that goes. But I think the unexpected wins are kind of fun and exciting.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think everyone loves the underdog story, but it is, I feel like for majority of these athletes, this is the pinnacle of their career. So it really is the leave it all on the line. You know, there's no, this is it. You know, there's no saving yourself for next game or things like that. It's like your do or die moment. I think what's really cool is like on top of all the like underdog stories, you have like these athletes are like, you know, curling and cross country skiing and mountaineering and all of these events. For the most part, it's not their like main day job. Like they're not professional NBA players or NFL players. Like they work at they own a bookstore. Like I think there's a gal on the men's women's curling team that like has a bookstore in Duluth, Minnesota, and that's her like career. So it's like these everyday people, and yeah, it's fascinating that they're just on this like massive Olympic stage now.
Well, I think that's the difference is the different circuits, whether it's World Cup skiing or cross country skiing or biathlon, they have a circuit during the year that they, you know,
Yeah.
travel the world and compete. But for them, the big stage is, like you said, the Olympic Games, and it's a love it or leave it type of thing, you know. And you're either gonna give it all, and then you go on to the next week. But it's not the same as winning a FIS World Cup race as it is winning the gold medal at the Olympics.
I feel like we have to talk about Lindsey Vonn.
Oh
Did
my
you see
God.
that she's competing with no ACL?
Well, if you recall, a few years ago, I blew my ACL out, and when I went to stand up, it wouldn't hold my leg wouldn't stay together, and it took a few weeks before I could really trust it again, and then another 4 weeks to get to where I was doing okay, and then I did never get it repaired, and I'm back to doing whatever I want. So I can't even imagine. She's going to wear a brace, and it's a complete tear from what I understand. I just I'm shocked.
Yeah. Yeah. So she had a fall last week, last Friday, at essentially the last race before the Olympic Games. And she had a knee replacement on her right knee. This is her left knee that she hurt. And yeah, she got scanned full ACL rupture. She has a bone bruise, which is pretty common when that happens. And
Yeah,
she has meniscus damage as well, which they're unsure if that's from the injury itself or if that's been around
previous, right?
um, previously. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have
Sounds
meniscus
familiar.
damage. So,
Sounds
yeah.
familiar.
Uh, we're sitting in a room with a lot of knee injuries here. But yeah, why I wanted to ask you is I was like, you tore your ACL skiing years ago. And I mean, I can't imagine. I've hurt my knee. I had a lot of different issues, but I know people that have played soccer after ACL tears. You know, you are not in like Olympic training condition
No.
when you hurt yours, but to be able to race and like like they go so she's downhill. She is like the fastest, like biggest, widest turns. Like she's flying down the mountain. I cannot imagine. I would be so nervous.
Backing up to the race that she got hurt in, She hates that course. The conditions were awful. A lot of DNFs, and they canceled the race after she got wrecked. I mean, that's just
Yep.
terrible that happened like that.
Yeah,
And then jumping
it is.
forward, if it was me, I'm going to win the race on one ski, I guess. And if I have to touch my other ski down a little bit, we'll hope for the best on it. But I can't even imagine trying to ski down an Olympic downhill course a week after hurting your ACL. I mean,
I
it's going to
know.
be,
Sounds like,
I mean,
yeah,
geez.
it's
And
crazy.
she was doing
It,
so well. Podium for 3 out of 4 times. She was phenomenal, skiing really well.
um, I'm really excited to watch her. I hope like that would be a really incredible, like it's setting itself up to be a really incredible story. To be, a comeback for a season in your 40s and be winning and competing at the same level that you were years ago, have an injury like this a week before and still come back and compete. Like it's one, so badass. Like two,
I think she's going
I
to really try to do as good as she can, but I think she's got a good head on her shoulders. And if she's not comfortable, I bet you she might say, I can't do it. I'm tried my best. But we'll see.
yeah,
Exciting.
yeah,
Holy smoke.
I know. I know. Okay, any predictions about what you think is going to happen? Any like notable
Well,
players or
I,
teams to
I
watch?
guess a notable player sort of is Snoop Dogg. And I
Yeah.
think that one prediction for me is we're going to see him trying some of the Olympic sports, maybe. And I could see him and Shaun White maybe doing a little snowboarding, or maybe he gets in the back of a bobsled and takes a run down.
Oh my
But
God.
that's kind of, that's pushing. Either one's pushing it, I think. But I think Snoop Dogg might try something. I don't know, figure skating. I don't. I think that's kind of bland for him. But he really was impressed by the quad god. So we'll see what happens with Snoop Dogg. That's one prediction for me. And then I
Yeah.
think the U.S. is going to do really well on the medal count this year. Norway always is, Winter Olympics. Norway blows everybody away, and it's a dash for second place. And Germany, Canada, Switzerland. But I think the United States is going to get second in the medal count. And I think
Okay.
U.S. is going to win the hockey men's.
Men's.
Yeah.
I think
Canada
I
women's
like that.
they're tough.
Well, the Canada USA rivalry between the women's hockey teams. They play a rivalry series every year now. This year they had 4 matchups and the US has dominated. They I think won, like they blew them out. It would be like a miracle on ice story round 2 on the women's side if Canada
I hope
came
the
back
U.S.
and won.
wins.
I do think it'll be a good matchup, but yeah, I think the US women should be a good it should be good.
Good. I hope so.
Any other predictions?
Nope, those are my 2, 3. Has Snoop? What do
Okay.
you think about Snoop? Any predictions from
I
you on
mean,
Snoop? Is he going to try again? Is he going to try a sport?
oh yeah, I think he's gonna do many. I like the bobsled prediction. I very much could see him do that. I want to do that. I think that'd be so fun. I snowboarding, skiing. I think him with a ex athlete like a Shaun White makes a lot of sense. I think I've seen clips of him maybe snowboarding or skiing in the past. He's not very good, but like having him with someone would be, I think, good. He'll definitely be at figure skating, like hockey, and
He'll be
I think a
everywhere.
lot of. But yeah, I love this crossover. We've talked about it a lot. We talked about it a lot over Christmas. He's a character. I think it's so fun to watch. He, I feel like, brings some levity to the coverage, and yeah, it'll be good. I think there'll be some really fun like content and videos from him during the opening ceremonies, probably. Like he's going to be
I thought he did a
dancing and
great
having a
job
good
at the
time.
Summer Olympics, so I would expect the same at the Winter, and probably actually tuned
Yeah,
up a little bit because he's getting better at it.
agreed. Okay, I have some rapid fire questions, like just whatever answer comes to mind. Okay, winter or summer Olympics?
Oh, Winter.
What is the most underrated winter Olympic sport?
Biathlon. Underrated
I would
in what
agree.
aspect? As far as hard to do
Can be
and be
anything.
good at, and yeah, I think biathlon would be really tough. I mean, you're skiing quite a distance. Your heart's going, I don't know what, 180 beats a minute. Then you got to stop, settle down, shoot, and then go again. And you got to be able to ski, shoot, and be in great shape. I think that'd be a tough sport to be good at.
I think I'm overly confident. That's when I feel like I could do. Like I could not do ski jumping. I could do biathlon. I think I have a pretty good shot.
Ski
I
jumping
don't
would
know.
be. You have to start that when you're 2 years old.
Yeah. Most overrated Olympic sport.
Um, Figure skating.
I had a feeling that's what you were going to say. Did you know figure skating was in the Summer
I'd say
Olympics?
it's the most overhyped.
Yes.
I think all the
Overrated.
athletes are great, and as well as the figure skaters are great, but it's just overhyped and overrated.
I think like growing up when you didn't have live streaming coverage on Peacock at every hour of the day, you would be watching the like prime time recap of what was happening, like what they wanted to show you. And
Highlights.
I feel like yeah, figure skating was like the main event. Like that's for me Olympics, it was like figure skating heavy primetime coverage. I think it still is. Like it's a fan favorite. People love it. But
In
I
the
think
United
because of
States.
that, yeah, like watching it in the US, figure skating had such a hold on the coverage. Like the primetime coverage didn't really show you the biathlon or some of these other sports. And so I think
Yep.
I would agree with that. But did you know figure skating was actually part of the Summer Olympics before the Winter Olympics were even created?
No.
Yeah, fun fact. Okay. What event would you drop anything to go watch live?
Probably a bobsled race because I've never seen one in the track, and I just love the bobsled. I mean, since the Cool Runnings, and um, I've never been at a track live, but it'd be really fun to watch live bobsled, the sledding
Cool.
event.
Yeah. Any event you would never want to compete in?
No, I can't think of one.
What what event do you think looks easy on TV but is actually really difficult?
Gosh, they're all difficult for me. What looks easy on TV? And probably cross country skiing because you're just gliding along and skiing along.
Yeah. More of an endurance sport versus like a technique.
Let to be known, those skiers are
Um,
going probably 20 miles an hour a lot, 30 miles an hour, and it looks like they're just cruising without an effort. But it definitely
I
would be the
mean,
easiest. I think somebody could just
I
put skis on and walk along and you're cross country skiing. The
yeah.
level that you go at is
I
different.
I had to cross country ski race in middle school. Mom and a couple of her friends whose daughters were my age all were forced into cross country ski racing, and we hated it. It was cold. It was like you're running outside but it's cold and you're standing there doing like technique lessons and your hands were numb. I as an adult have cross country skied and it is hard. Like it is way harder than I remember as a kid. I mean back then everything was easier. What sport is way scarier in real life than people realize?
I think hockey, the speed the guys are going at, if you see it live versus TV, the sounds, the speed, the hits, how fast it's going, the puck's moving, it's violent when you see it live almost. It's fun to watch, but it's very different than seeing it on TV.
What athlete skill impresses you most? Like speed, endurance, fearlessness, precision?
Precision, I would guess. Is impressive. How
Yeah.
perfect they can be. No mistakes.
Events like the slope style and big air competition where they're spinning in the air so many times. It's incredible to me how fast those tricks happen in this like little time that they're in the air.
And how precise they
So,
have to be to land them, get to the next one, focus, concentration. It's impressive. Definitely,
yeah.
it's amazing how precise they
Uh,
have to be. And that's true in a lot of the sport, all the sports. Can't be sloppy.
yeah. What do you think matters most, athlete mindset or physical talent?
Athlete mindset.
One winter Olympic event you think will surprise people this year?
I think the women 120-meter jumping hill. I think the women are going to go a long ways, and if not, get close to the man. Pushing the limits of how far that because they've never done the 120-meter. So I'll be kind of excited to see how that's going to turn out. And I'm not going to be surprised when they go as far as the men almost.
And then any athlete superstitions that you believe
No, I never had superstitions. It's very popular. I had friends that put the sock on the right foot all the time. They wore a certain shirt every time or whatever. I never had that at all. Never was superstition about anything. If you're ready to
that
go,
tracks?
you're ready to go.
Yeah.
They have, I
I
mean, the course, I like complete silence and quiet before an event. But some people like the loud music and the noise and rowdy, and some do different things and stretch different. But as far as superstition, I didn't have one.
okay. Well, any last words?
No, I'm excited to watch the Winter Olympics. I like them better than summer. I think the United States is going to do well, and there's going to be some great, like you said, unexpected wins. And it's always fun to watch somebody local, the Italian winter race too. The locals will go nuts.
Well, I think we'll try to do this again next week. We can have like a
Okay.
little check-in of like what's happened. Our Olympic correspondent will be joining us. All right.
Okay.
Well, you all got a fun taste of my childhood. Hopefully, we'll have my dad back for some more Olympic coverage. He knows so much about the Winter Olympics sports and has been watching them for years. So it's fun to get his perspective. I hope you enjoyed it. But that is a wrap for today. We'll see you next week.